I think someone else is getting these parts too. Not surprising. Speedrun Greg, almost all are these days because WoW got so popular. Like arguably those style of mechanics are in almost every single MMO that comes out these days. Yep. At least in some form. Some more than others, but yeah, that kind of stuff has become very synonymous with the genre as a whole. Because of WoW's success, it kind of set a standard. Slice says, is WoW the most influential MMO then? Oh, absolutely. Yep. I mean, outside of talking about MMOs being, you know, like foundational MMOs, like Meridian 59, EverQuest, DAOC, the stuff that kind of started the genres, but no, WoW took the MMO genre and changed it into something else. It set standards, which I think almost every MMO has used since. So yeah, I would very much argue that WoW is probably the most influential MMO to the genre as a whole. Mm-hmm. Man, we gotta get this guy some armor and stuff. Can I see how close he is to leveling his like his loyalty? That's his normal level, right? How can I see like his loyalty? The stuff that gets me the training points. Is that a thing? Go to the pet tab. It's the top of that screen. See loyalty level 2 unruly, but is there like an experience bar for it? Only the level, not the progress. That's what I was wondering. Thank you. Hey, Castle Raven, what's up, buddy? How do you find parenting as a parent with ADHD? I have it myself, and I find it quite difficult. It's quite difficult. Yeah, there's not really any way to get around that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Exhausting is a good word. Yep, that's a great word for it. I hate to rehash old thoughts, and I wonder if you can point me to the old video where you critique WoW. I'm a WoW Andy and only seeing your stream because I watch a lot of WoW stuff. It'd be interesting seeing your previous thoughts on the subject. I think I got some stuff on that somewhere. I don't know if I have a specific video. But no, my general thoughts on World of Warcraft is it's basically, it's a theme park MMO, which has its benefits and negatives. But as somebody who grew up in more social MMO settings, like EverQuest, DAOC, Shadowbane, that kind of thing, I definitely have kind of a preference towards that other style of gameplay. So it's different flavors of ice cream. It's very different. And personally, I prefer MMOs that kind of force the players to work together more. Because I feel that kind of exemplifies why you're playing an MMO in the first place. But I'm not a huge fan of you know, just getting a whole bunch of arbitrary quests and doing X of X things and picking up items and killing things. Like what I'm doing now, this is definitely not my favorite type of MMO to play. It's still fun, but it's, you know, by no means my preference. So it's just that, really. That's the basic argument. Yep. You're skipping dungeons, which are amazing. Again, I fundamentally understand there's group content in this game, like I've said many times. I get it, but I'm just saying it's not the main focus of the game. Yeah. The group stuff is a focus at endgame. It's true. You could probably get to endgame and focus on it. Yep. Sure. You could just grind dungeons. You could. Not in hardcore? Yeah. But I do need to mention, like, again, the thing that really sets it apart for me is more of the kind of the feeling of the game in terms of the kind of us versus them mentality of the community versus the PvE side of the server. Like, it's even if you were to tailor the gameplay experience to what you wanted, you're still going to have a huge percentage of people that are playing on the same server that are not. And that alone kind of messes with the vibe of what it is, in my opinion. So it's a different feeling. It's a different feeling. So yeah, it's just not quite. But I do see what you guys are saying, where you're saying that content is available and you could tailor your personal gameplay experience to do it. But it's not quite what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the mechanics of the MMO as a whole that every player partakes in. If that makes sense. And what that kind of does to the mentality of the server and the people that play on it. Final Fantasy XI sounds like your dream MMO. I never played Final Fantasy XI, unfortunately. I've heard many people say that since I was a big EQ1 player, I've seen many people talk about the fact that I probably would have loved 11. But I never played it, unfortunately. So, how can you judge on a whole if you haven't done the whole of it? So that's a valid question, but it's more of what's present in the game and the feeling of what's here. So I know what's here because I'm doing it. I know how that functions. I'm able to, like, and again, I'm talking about the global kind of vibe on the server, which I've been partaking in for 60 levels between my characters. I feel like I have a good idea about what is here for most people. So I'm going off that. And I am, for the record, a very new WoW player. But I'm kind of going from a mechanics perspective on the whole server level, not just my personal journey through the game myself. Yeah. Are you wearing a John Goodman shirt? I am. Big Lebowski, man. Love it. Have you tried Death Must Die? No. Endgame is very different. I'm sure endgame rating is very different than the level up process. Yeah. I'd also probably imagine that, you know, endgame looting, doing dungeons and stuff over and over and everything is very different too. How far to get in WoW in 18 years? Not far at all. I think my max character, I thought it was a 44, but I think it was actually a 24. I played on release, but I was doing EverQuest 2 rating at the time, so I didn't really get bored by it. Yeah. Also not a big fan of the WoW graphics. I've always preferred kind of less cartoony graphics. That kind of kept me away a lot back in the day too. Oh, you're also not on a Discord, which is a lot of the social side of WoW now. I mean, being in comms in any guild is a social thing, but I don't know if I would. That's kind of parallel to what we're talking about, not really what we're talking about. Yeah, and I don't think it's necessary to have a social experience. And back when I played EQ1 the first time, which was probably like the epitome of what I'm talking about in terms of like the us versus them feeling on the server, we didn't even have comms in a lot of ways back then. We had like Ventrilo and stuff, but most people didn't use it. Yeah, almost everything was done over text for a while, and it was great. Yeah. Back in my day, pretty much. What was EQ1 like? EQ1 was incredibly cool. There's only a couple classes that could stream in EQ1, so you basically always had to group with people. And the thing that made it so special is that because you were always grouping all the time, like, it was kind of normal for people to be kind of lonery. So you'd always be meeting and grouping with new people all the time. You'd have a giant friends list of people. You generally would log in, start sending 5 to 15 tells. You'd get 5 to 15 tells of people just like seeing what was going on, seeing what you're up to, seeing what you want to do. And because of that feeling where you were always having to group with so many people, reputation was a really big deal. And especially like a good example of how EQ is different is the people that were the max level and raiders and groupers. If any of them acted up or did something wrong, their names would spread across the server and people would just stop grouping with them. Guilds would stop doing stuff with them. And you basically, if that kind of thing happened, then it added this different feeling of it's like you needed to respect these other players and you needed to be a part of that. You know what I mean? It was this different feeling where there was just this giant community, and it's like you could play with that community or you could choose to not, and they wouldn't play with you. So it was a very cool feeling. Yeah. Vanilla WoW was the same. Honestly, I think that's probably a lot of the reasons I'm having a lot of fun on the classic server. I don't really have any urge to play WoW retail, but I'm having a good time on this server. So, you know, it was a very interesting feeling that is not really prevalent in most MMOs these days. Again, because there's so much solo content, you don't need to do any of that stuff. Just be a dick to everyone. It doesn't matter. So it's different. Yeah, it's different. So, and I do want to end this by saying and stressing it is different. I'm not saying it's better. I'm not trying to argue that if you're a WoW player that you should be playing the way I'm saying to. It's different. So, but I'm by no means saying that you should do that over, you know, WoW if you enjoy WoW. Yeah. Not trying to argue the fact or anything. We're just talking about it. Talking about preferences and stuff. You can solo an EQ. Some classes can solo an EQ. Some just can't. Yeah, some just can't. So. But no, they're definitely like, you know, like mage, necro, shaman, druids can kite, wizards can do a little kiting. Like there's absolutely some soloing potential, but there's almost no soloing potential when you talk about like going into the dungeons and, you know, obviously the raids and stuff like that. So that's where all the best stuff is. Yeah. That's where all the goodies are. Oh, that dude just ran up and stunned this guy in the face. I appreciate you, buddy. Thank you. That was nice of him. Did I ever try Asheron's Call? No. The big 3 games that I wish I had played growing up and I didn't. Actually, there's 4. Ultima Online, Asheron's Call, Star Wars Galaxies, and maybe it was those 3. Those are the big 3. So, yeah, I really wish I had played those. Oh, I played the ones that I did play. Played the absolute hell out of EverQuest, EverQuest 2. Dark Age of Camelot, Anarchy Online. Anarchy Online was a very special game. Shadowbane, I was a raid leader in Shadowbane. Warhammer Online, Age of Conan. Played some Neocron, so if people remember that game. Yeah, I played most MMOs back in the day, at least a little bit. Played a little bit of Ion. We don't talk about WildStar. We don't talk about WildStar. No. I think my inventory is almost full. Oh, I think it is full. Shoot. All right, let's go sell real quick. Oh, and more recently, I played Defiance. I actually really liked Defiance. Defiance was doing some really cool stuff. Kind of sad that game went under. I kind of wish it wasn't Defiance. I wish it was its own thing. I feel like it would have done a lot better. And then Arcage. Played Arcage. Arcage was really fun. Neverwinter Nights MMO was surprisingly cool, but the devs ruined it. That sucked. The devs absolutely ruined it. Which was really unfortunate. And then the ones I'm looking forward to are like PAX Day. Hopefully Pantheon can pull out of its tailspin. It's trying. Ashes of Creation. I want to... I want to be hyped for this new Ghost MMO, but I don't see how anyone could right now. Because, I mean, it doesn't even know what it is yet, so you can't really get hyped about it. I think I'm missing a couple. Those are the big ones. Oh, I played Rift. Played the hell out of Rift, dude. Rift was awesome. I loved Rift. Rift had such a unique and interesting class system. I found it incredibly fun. Oh, Guild Wars 2. Yeah, I played Guild Wars 2 into the ground. I was on a server called Stormbluff Isle when Guild Wars 2 came out. I led a guild, CohhCarnage, funny enough. Had one of the first sunrises on the server. Was one of the first commanders. We played that game, me and my guild, on the same server as a guild called Lords of Death. And we were out there in the battlefield like 4 hours a night for half a year plus trying to fight this server called Henge of Denravi. But all the major guilds that came from other games went to Henge of Denravi. So it was just a constant losing fight. We never never made any progress because that guild was just, we always held on to second place, but man, we had no prayer. Absolutely no prayer. But it was really fun. It was still a really good time. Oh, the Riot MMO. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Riot MMO. Yep. Riot has the resources to do something special. I just hope they actually do it. I really hope they actually pull it off. My biggest concern is that Riot is a company where if they even think for a second that a game isn't going to work out, they can cancel it. My biggest concern is just they're going to wake up one day and decide to cancel the Riot MMO. They absolutely could do that. But I hope that they stick with it and turn it into something awesome. I think it would be really cool. We'll see. Amazon had the resources and we got New World. Yeah, New World is such an unfortunate game. I feel like the New World, there were so many things wrong with New World. Like, it should have never been marketed as an MMO. It should have been marketed as a multiplayer action game. Because, I mean, it had the depth of a puddle, dude. It really did. What's going on here? Oh, wait. What do I do? Howdy's just invited me to the group for a summon. I need you to click in a sec. I'm coming to you. Okay. I've never done a summon. What do I do? Just chill here? Don't we need 2 more people? Or I guess 1 more person. New World was bad from the beginning. So, funny story. I was contacted and they did this big marketing push on New World when it first came out. And never mind, the guy just put me on ignore. Okay, weird. They did this big marketing push on Twitch, and what they wanted to do is they wanted to recruit a bunch of streamers. It was going to be this. It was this huge thing, and there were three teams, and each team had a streamer that was a captain, and it was wildly lucrative to be a part of this. And they pitched it to me, and I was like, "Oh, big new MMO, got a bunch of resources behind it. Like, yeah, sign me up." And they were like, "Cool, okay, you're going to be the captain of one of the teams." And as we got closer and closer to the time this thing was going to happen, I started, nudging them a little bit. And I was like, "So, I haven't played the game yet. I kind of need to do that before this happens. Like, can you get me?" And they're like, "Oh, yeah, we'll get you alpha access. We'll get you alpha access." So they got me alpha access, and I played for about half an hour. And I gave it a little break, and I was like, went back, played it for another half an hour. And then I sent a message to my management at the time, and I was like, "Pull me out, dude." And they were like, "What do you mean pull me out?" And I was like, this op wanted me to play for like, God, it was one of the longest sponsorships at the time. I think they wanted like 60 hours in a month or something. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to enjoy playing this game for as long as they're asking. Absolutely no way. I was like, I can't do it. I'm sorry. And they were like, "What do you mean you can't do it? We've already like made the stuff and all this stuff." And I was like, "Dude, I'm sorry." And they were so upset with me, man. This was my old management, not my new management. This is my old management. They were so upset with me. They actually, one of the owners of the management company wanted me to write a letter of apology. I was like, I'm not doing that. That's obscene. Absolutely not. Like, the fact that they agreed when I told them that I agreed to all this before I had tried the game, and I told them explicitly I needed to try it. I was like, that's absolutely insane. And they were like, we don't want to, like, burn bridges. And I was like, well, you should have thought, like, that's what I have a management team for. Like, what are you talking about? But yeah, it was, yeah. It just wasn't for me, dude. It wasn't for me. I definitely went in expecting, like, an actual cool MMO. And I remember looking over the very first weapon trees, and I was like, there's like 12, like, are you telling me that I'm gonna have every ability I'm gonna use for the entire game by like level 8? Like what is this? And I have to switch weapons around? And there's only like 5 weapons? I was like, is this a joke? I seriously, I remember after that first 30 minutes, I messaged him back. I was like, is this the full game? Is this all of it? Like, what is going on here? And keep in mind, this is the very first iteration. It's gone through many different iterations since then. It's become much more of a game at this point. But the very first iteration was, yeah, little weird, little strange. It was definitely, yeah, it was bad. Cohh bongos. But yeah, it was, yeah, it was a thing. Have you ever played New World since? No, I've checked into New World multiple times, and it's just, it hasn't really gotten to a point where I'd want to put a lot of time into it. Yeah. Am I low on ammo? I think I am a little low on ammo. We got 400 shots left though. We'll be okay for a bit. All the hype for New World. I think what happened with New World is a lot of people wanted it to be something, and they wanted that big multiplayer MMO feel. They wanted to play with their friends. They wanted something they could sink their teeth into for a long time. Like, to put it bluntly, a lot of the reasons that I think people enjoy New World are the reason I'm playing WoW now, where it's kind of like you just sometimes want to play a game with a bunch of people and have that feeling of that big community spirit. I'm not super into WoW. I wouldn't be playing this if it wasn't on hardcore and I had a bunch of buddies playing it, and I'm still having a great time though. So I think that's kind of like what happened with New World. I think a lot of people played New World and they enjoyed New World because they just got to play a game with their friends, and that a lot of people were hyped about at the time, and that was kind of infectious. And the best time for MMOs, or I should say MMO servers, is the release. There's always this energy when a new MMO comes out or a new server opens up. Everyone's playing, everyone's invested, and it's a beautiful dragon to chase. And I think that's kind of what happened with New World at the beginning. I think that's what happened. It's what's happening right now with this server. So is it FOMO? Not really. FOMO means something kind of specific, and I don't think that's what it means. Not in this case. I think it's just general hype. Yeah, SOD. I think SOD is going to bring a lot of people in. I do. I think SOD is going to be a pretty exciting experience. Absolutely. So it's a similar concept. WildStar was a great example of that. To be blunt, every MMO release, if the MMO is even a fraction decent, generally its hypest times are on release. So I mean that's every MMO. Every MMO is like that. That's just kind of the way it works. Man, we have not gotten a hardened tortoiseshell in a long time, and I've killed like 8 of these things. Oh, Julia, I'm sorry. I saw you. Hold on, I saw Julia write something earlier, and I was like, I'm gonna scroll up and read that, and then I didn't. Cohh, there's also a software house called Playable Worlds, made by Ralph Poster, that is developing a new MMO. He was the lead designer of Ultima Online and Star Wars Galaxies, and he said he wants to make a world and an experience. Well, that sounds fun. I don't know. I mean, that's a lot of like lofty terminology, but that's cool, man. Honestly, at this point, the world just needs more MMOs. Like MMOs kind of came homogenized, and over the years have kind of, frankly, dropped out in a lot of ways. The genre is not very healthy. So I think getting an influx of just more games would be great. More options. See what works, see what doesn't. MMO players have not had a lot of options. It is one of the most atrophied genres that we have right now. Granted, I mean, there's a lot of reasons for that, particularly technical and financial. But, you know, it still could use a nice little infusion. That's one of the reasons I am glad for companies like Ghost. Like this Ghost thing coming out. I do like that there's MMOs coming out where it's just like, yeah, we were basically given a metric ton of money, and we're just going to make an MMO that the community wants. And it's like, okay, like that could be cool. I mean, I'll see you in 2 years when you have an idea what you're making, but yeah, okay, that sounds good. I like that companies are putting money into it. That's good. So, yeah. Yeah, Timo, that's one of the interesting things about Ghost, right? So for those who don't know, what's his name? Ghost Walker? I want to say his name is Ghost Walker. There's this Ghost Crawler. Thank you. He crawls. He doesn't walk. I'm sorry. Ghost Crawler is this guy who's been making MMOs for a while. Funny enough, apparently, and this makes me a bit concerned. Apparently, he was like working on the Riot MMO. He got pulled from WoW to Riot to work on the MMO. And then for reasons I don't know if we're ever going to know, he left the Riot MMO to start his own company. That doesn't necessarily bode so well for the Riot MMO. So hopefully that's not too bad, but yeah. Legend says he left because it was family related. Brother, you're going to tell me he left a job as a cog in the wheel of a Riot MMO to start his own MMO company? Which one of those are you going to think is going to take more work? Well, maybe he's working from home now or something. So I don't know. I'm just kidding, of course. I have no idea what his reasoning is or anything. But my point is that he left WoW for Riot. And now he left Riot, and he's basically put together a really strong team, backed by NetEase, which is a little concerning. But they had this Q&A a few weeks ago, and the Q&A was basically like, we have a lot of ideas for our MMO. Here's like the super top level of it. But we're going to be building it based on community feedback over the next years. So join us for that. And the only thing about that like when I watched that the first time, I was watching it because I wanted to get hyped for whatever project they were working on. But funny enough, I left that panel with far more questions than I came with. So I think it's interesting what they're doing, but I also think it's incredibly risky, because what they're doing is they're basically, from the sounds of it, going to be designing by just what's popular. Like they didn't really do a good job of drawing the lines between when are you going to do something you want to do, as opposed to the community wants, which you're shining this huge spotlight on the fact that you're going to be developing it with the community. Well, what's going to happen when your direction you want to do does not line up with that? Are you just going to change the direction of your project? So it's interesting. I think like an MMO is a hugely communal venture, and to be making it as much as they seem like they are a communal project is going to be an interesting thing to see from the outside, and it's going to be wild to see how that works. So we'll see. We'll see. Lots of people disliked Ghostcrawler when he was working on WoW. I know nothing of his work on WoW, so I can't comment on that. I'm sorry. Also, somebody said he left Riot so he could be closer to his family in his new job. Okay, that's cool. I understand that completely now. If it's the kind of thing where, you know, to work at Riot, he had to work away from his family, and he left it so he could be with his family, like, more power to him. That's awesome. Yeah. Oh, JP Alfaria says actually his brother and father died in a short time frame, and he changed what he wanted, and that changed what he wanted to do with his life. Oh. Well, even more power to him in that case. Damn. Okay. Jeez. Respect, dude. That's a big risk to take. Yeah, good for him. Yeah. The issue is the vocal minority that causes issues when developing items. Yeah, that's another big thing to Oh, Chad is saying everything about it is speculation because he hasn't been public. Okay, we're going to stop talking about what made Ghostcrawler leave Riot, and we're just going to blanket say, we'll wait until he says something, because apparently Chad has given me all sorts of wrong things. So, yeah, all we know is he left Riot, and we're just going to leave it at that. More power to him, whatever he's dealing with / wanting to do. Reasons. Sure. Let's go with reasons. Left Riot for reasons. Absolutely. I don't want to...
Good show.
I don't want to say any of this stuff if it's not accurate. Jeez. But short answer is I'm thrilled he did because I'm very interested to see where this project is going to go. I'm excited. He ghosted Riot. Oh. Anyway. So, yeah, and that was a really good point someone just brought up. Like, the whole vocal minority thing. Like, what's going to happen if the vocal minority wants this MMO to be something that's just not fun or not what the devs want? You know, are they going to ignore the vocal minority, in which case they're not going to listen to their community? Or are they going to buckle down and be like, well, we were going to listen to you, but you're wrong, and we're going to do it like this? And what's that press release going to look like? That's going to be a fun one to read. Yeah. Molly says, this chat is exactly why you shouldn't just blindly take a community's advice. Well, to be fair, I think that goes with any community of any people in any location doing anything on this entire planet. I think that's more of a human thing. And I agree. I think that that's probably good advice to have. Yeah. Is that 44 mage that died a guildie? It's a Fangsley. And the last word is M. That's a bummer. Sorry, bud.